2 years ago, I made a commitment to invest a minimum of $1,500 every month into my ISA portfolio. 2 years on, I've stuck to that commitment, and in this video, we'll go through exactly what's happened in terms of the performance of that portfolio. Hopefully, this will be interesting to others on a similar investing journey, and if it is, then please hit that like button as it really does support the channel. Before we start, I need to say that this video is not financial advice, I'm simply sharing my journey. So let's get into it and kick off by explaining why I began investing $1,500 every month in the first place. For this, we need to rewind to December 2023, as it was at this point I decided that I wanted to reach 100k ISA as the first big milestone in my journey towards financial independence. 100k has long been known as the figure where the compound effect really gets to work to build wealth. This is why Charlie Munger most famously said, "I don't care what you have to do, if it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on 100k. After understanding this, I made it my mission to build a 100k ISA portfolio, and I set a target to do this by the end of 2027. When making these plans, I quickly realized that the biggest factor which would help me get there would be making regular and large deposits. So I took a look at my budget, assessed what's the maximum amount I could put away every month without completely killing my social life, and the figure I settled on was $1,500. Now I know this is a huge amount of money to be putting away every month, but I don't want you to think that I have some kind of crazy job. I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am, but I certainly earn nowhere near six figures, and $1,500 is a huge proportion of my paycheck every month. I benefit from being able to keep costs low. I don't have any big outgoings apart from my mortgage, so I can allocate as much of my income as possible towards this goal. This is my primary financial goal, so my finances are fully focused on achieving it. If you want to find out more about my plan to reach 100k ISA, then I should have a video around here. But coming back to this video, now you know why I'm setting aside this money every month, let's bring up the main ISA platform I've been using over the last 2 years in Invest Engine, as their graph feature will tell a story over what's happened. We can see that I begun this portfolio in 2022, but it wasn't until I started my 100k plan that I made regular, large deposits. You can see this with the blue deposits line becoming much deeper after December 2023 when I started putting in $1,500 every month. Since that point, I've been pretty consistent in making monthly deposits. We can also see that it's taken a while for my portfolio to see any performance, as it's only been since around October 2024 a gap has emerged between the blue deposits line and the green balance line. Even after that point, I had a big drop in early 2025 before the portfolio rebounded again to where it is today. I think these performance trends show two superpowers of investing. Firstly, the power of investing for the long term. Typically, over the short term, markets are volatile, they go up and down a lot, but over the long term, historically, markets tend to do well, and that's exactly what we're starting to see with this portfolio. Of course, I'm not quite in the long-term range yet, as I see the long term as 5 years plus, and I'm only 3 to 4 years in, but nonetheless, a trend is starting to emerge. The more time I've been invested, the more time my portfolio has had to recover from crashes and drops to then make a good return. The second superpower I'm seeing here is the power of compounding. This is my favorite investing superpower, as it helps my portfolio snowball by getting returns on my returns. To explain this, let's give an example. When I begun this journey in December 2023, a 10% increase in my portfolio value would have equated to about £1,000, and pretty much all of that return would have simply been a return on my initial deposits. But now a 10% increase equates to over £6,000, and over 1,000 of this increase would be a return on my previous returns. So I'm not just getting returns on my initial deposits anymore, but also on my previous returns, creating a snowball-like effect and a superpower to build up my portfolio. In terms of the key figures of where my portfolio stands today, at the time of recording, my portfolio has a balance of £66,779.56, and overall it's up by over £13,000 in pound terms and over 44% in InvestEngine's time-weighted percentage terms. However, these figures are my portfolio's performance since I opened it in 2022, not just the past 2 years. To work out the performance for just the past 2 years, we'll need to do some calculations ourselves, as InvestEngine doesn't offer a custom time filter on their graph. If we minus the balance from 2 years ago, in December 2023, which was £10,223.30, from the current balance of £66,779.56, then we can see my portfolio has increased by £56,556.26 in this period. We can work out exactly how much of this came from deposits versus investment growth by going into transactions and filtering for the period December 2023 to December 2025 and looking at top-up transactions only. Here we can see I made £43,887.82 in deposits. This means that over the last 2 years, my investment growth was £12,669.44, as this is what you get when you subtract the deposits from the portfolio value. I'm extremely happy with this investment return, as it's helped me get to the point where I'm well on my way to my goal of reaching a 100k ISA portfolio. Nonetheless, it's important to appreciate that the biggest factor in building up the portfolio wasn't the return, it was the regular deposits. The deposits work out around £1,828 per month when divided by 24. This is much higher than my original 1,500 commitment, and it's simply because I made an ISA transfer and a couple of additional deposits when I got a bonus from work. In terms of what I invested in and what has given me this performance, there's been 4 main ETFs along the way. Firstly, my MSCI World Fund, secondly, Physical Gold, thirdly, MSCI Europe, and fourth, MSCI Small Cap. We can see here the overall performance of these ETFs since I opened the account. We can't see the performance over the exact 2-year period because InvestEngine doesn't provide that data, but this overall performance still gives you a good idea. Those who have done some quick maths will notice that the sum of the gains from these ETFs doesn't quite add up to my total portfolio gain mentioned earlier in the video. The reason for this is that I had some other ETFs in my portfolio along the way, which I made gains and then sold on. They're not presented here, but the gains are included in the total return figure shown earlier in the video. Overall, 2 years in, the performance of my portfolio has been much better than I expected when I began this journey, and it's put me on a good footing to reach my 100k ISA target. Of course, I've been quite lucky, I've been fortunate with the timing of my journey, as over the past 2 years, the market has been on a really good run. I'm not going to hide that a lot of this performance has been luck with the timing of this journey. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results, so I may not get this performance in the future. And one thing which is for sure is that I can't control what the market does, but I can control my deposits. And the biggest learning for me in this journey has been understanding that the most important factor which will help me get to 100k is making regular and large deposits. In terms of my future plans with this portfolio, I'm going to continue investing $1,500 every month into the ETFs you saw earlier in the video. We can actually bring up a compound investing calculator to see how long it could take me to reach 100k based on me continuing my 1,500 monthly deposit schedule. We can see that using the average historical return of the MSCI World Index, which is 8.91%, it will take me 1 year and 4 months to reach my 100k target. Of course, I might not get this return, which means it might take me longer to reach my target, and I am expecting bumps along the journey as markets have always been very volatile in the short term. Ultimately, whatever the markets do, I'm just going to ignore the noise and continue with my plan of investing 1,500 every month. If you enjoyed this video, then I'd greatly appreciate a like, and if you want to follow my journey, then I'd greatly appreciate a subscribe. Thanks for watching.